Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad to see you here. Happy Father's Day. We want you to know that your soul is welcome here. And you are in the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend Louise.
Good morning, Reverend Deborah. Good morning, everyone.
And we greet you this morning in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of this. And the very special energy of this ministry, Spiritual Life Center. And if you are here with us for the first time today or live streaming, we want you to know that you are here by divine appointment and that there are no accidents. Except for that one.
I'm sorry, I think it was me. So now let's take a moment and take a breath and have a beautiful centering, quiet, calm prayer with no feedback. So, yes, and on this beautiful Father's Day, let's affirm that divine masculine is present. And so, whether fathering was an expected, joyful celebration, or fathering was an unexpected surprise, whether we've had experiences of the beauty and the love and that stability of Divine Father, or we've had our challenges with that of our own Father, we can affirm today that the entire planet, that every being feels the strength and the steadfastness and the divine love and compassion of divine masculine. And today we celebrate fathers
We celebrate biological fathers, adoptive fathers, foster fathers, spiritual fathers, and those in our midst that truly embody divine masculine. May they know the depth of the value that they offer to community. And so it is. Yes. And this morning we want to thank Shirley Brown for her beautiful floral. Shirley, where are you? Thank you. And we want to let you know that this is the final choir performance of the season. This is their grand Father's Day finale in all of their finery, their tropical finery, and don't they look fabulous? And so if you're interested in the choir, rehearsals begin again on August 21st for the upcoming season. And this morning we have a special guest. She's not new to SLC, but she may be new to you, so I'll share a few words. So this beautiful being, she's a teacher, she's a speaker, she's an author, she's an artist, she's a musician. She is a beautiful balance of divine feminine and masculine. She's a powerful presence for femininity in this day and age. She speaks on end-of-life care. She teaches a year-long program on end-of-life care. She is on the board now of Joshua House, and they are so blessed to have her. So please give a warm welcome to Reverend Julie Interrante.
Okay, so this coming Wednesday for Wow Wednesday, the Reverend Deborah Phillips is going to present a program. Oh yeah, that's me, huh? Beyond Magical Thinking, Denial and Affirmation. And I thought about how I wanted to do it, and I thought about standing up and talking to people for 25 or 30 minutes, and nah. So it's going to be a micro class. So there will be a discussion, and I'll explain denial and affirmation. And then we will actually do an exercise where you learn to write your own denials and your own affirmations, because honestly, writing denials is not as easy as it sounds, is it, Louise? So, yeah. And a lot of people don't understand exactly what denials are. So we will go through that. We will have an exercise. We will even have questions and answers. And then we'll seal it with a meditation. So I'd love to see you all there. The salad is at 6, and we start the service at 7. And Pat Harvey has a few words to say about the spring clean and splash volunteer thingies.
Opportunities. Hi, I'm Pat Harvey, and Carrie Freeman and I recently took on the roles of we're calling ourselves the volunteer coordinators. So it's a great way to have a lot of fun, meet new people, take care of our spiritual home. So the first one, of course, is the spring clean on the 30th from 8:30 to 2, and it will be primarily indoor activities because we don't know what the temperature is going to be like. And then the second is, of course, our summer splash, and we have multiple opportunities there as well. So after service, I'll be next to the welcome table at the volunteer table, and please come join us and have a lot of fun and meet some new people.
And here to share a few words is our own Elaine LaRoa.
Good morning, beautiful souls. I want to piggyback on Summer Splash, and as you know, nothing happens in a vacuum, and I really want to take this moment to thank our sponsors for those events. So first, our own Leslie Leggio, Carol Van Bruggen, and Steve Kuhn are really making this event happen. Leslie is the sponsor of River Tribe. She is paying for that band to be there that night so we can dance away and celebrate. And Carol and Steve are sponsoring the travel expenses for our guest of honor, which is our own Richard Burdick and Susie. So please thank them, both of them, all of three of them. And then the news flash is how many were at the Spring Fling last year where we did the big Raffle-Palooza type deal? Well, you know, we've done in the last couple of years had beautiful donors to our vacation trips around the world. A couple of years ago, Dave and Rachel Lyman won that big raffle and spent a week in Hawaii. Last year, our own Don Sykes and won the big grand prize, and they'll be and Paula and him have booked their 1 week in Fiji coming up. So Claire Kinsley, and just this past week, Claire Kinsley has stepped up again, and she is giving away 7 nights anywhere Worldmark goes. So she is going to allow that to be the grand prize raffle, and Robin DeLong is kicking in $1,000 so you can buy the airline tickets to get to that week vacation. So I'm announcing that because the raffles go on sale next week. So thank you again, and those of you who want to be part of my raffle team, it's the best fun team ever. So meet with Pat, let her know, and I'm beginning to find all of those fun and amazing things that will also be part of that raffle room, including massages and all kinds of things that are already in that go. So if you've got things you want to donate to raffle off, or you want to be part of my raffle team, go see Pat, and she'll get you connected to me. And a special shout out to my dad who passed away. This is my first Father's Day, and he's so present in spirit. So happy Father's Day, Daddy.
Thank you, Elaine. And coming up July 21st, we have another round of the Q process, and Elaine LaRoa brings her enthusiasm, her wit, and her amazing consciousness, and she leads that program with me. And frequently, so how many people here have been through the Q process? Okay, it is our core teaching for community, for how to be in community, and for how to deal with all of our feelings as humans in community. So when we have a shadow moment and we get triggered, we have the tools. So it's a wonderful program. And so people do ask, what does the Q stand for? So we have a short video to show you this morning. So be sure to sign up so you can, so you have the opportunity to get really clear on what your own particles and waves are.
That is an absolutely beautiful video, isn't it? Yeah. So we'd like to introduce some very special people here at SLC. Will our ambassadors and chaplains please stand? Our ambassadors wear rainbow ribbons around their necks. They are here to offer a warm welcome, answer your questions, and point you in the right direction for ways to become connected here at SLC. And our chaplains are here to hold us in confidential prayer during our human journey of joy as well as challenge. They wear the white stoles, and they will be in the courtyard or here in the sanctuary to pray with you after the service.
And in a minute, if you're here for the first time, we're going to ask you to raise your hand and keep it up. We have a welcome card for you. We're going to hand this out, and we'd love for you to fill it out. It is a great way to get connected, to sign up for our weekly email message, which has an inspirational message every single week, and it has all of our events and classes and programs coming up. So please fill that out. Drop it at the welcome table when you're complete with it after the service. And we're also handing you a chalet. So right now is a great time to raise your hand if you're here for the first time and keep it up. And on that chalet, there's a blessing. And it says, we believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience and that there are many paths to the one God. And so we're grateful you joined us on your path today. So let's stand now, greet our newcomers and one another.
Check, check, check.
blessed day. Yes. So lately we've been talking about the queue. We just saw an awesome video about the queue. And one of the processes that we've been through with the queue is doing a community cue card, discovering what our shadow side is as a community and then how we want to show up. So we've been reading those together, and I invite you to do that at this time now. Please have compassion for us when we are being not enough, distrusting, grieving, blaming, powerless, and fearful. Because this is who we have come here to be, inspired, in integrity, joy-filled, compassionate, unstoppable, generous, and transformational. Yes. And now let's follow that up by speaking together our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now please join us as we sing this beautiful chant together.
As we settle into this time of quiet, breathe naturally. Simply be aware of how you relax with each breath. Breathe into the back of your heart. Melt into your seat. Allow your vision to become soft and cloudy. And close your eyes. And as you take a breath, silently affirm this prayer. Move, O God, in me. And as the melody of the song continues to play, notice how the notes begin to join into one pure stream of healing energy. coming out, curling around, flowing into the middle of your chest and directly into your physical heart. Is a stream of music and light. And the energy begins to rotate until it becomes a spiral. And it winds its way around your heart and then expands so that your entire chest is filled with a spiral of healing musical energy. As the spiral goes around, a small little spiral arm separates and rotates and spins down into your left leg and foot. And then another little spiral arm breaks off and makes its way, filling your right leg and foot. Spinning light. As the main spiral spins in your torso, yet another little arm spins off and goes up into your left shoulder, your arm, and your hand. And then another one spins off into your right shoulder, arm, and hand. And you begin to tingle with this sparkling musical light. And now the main spiral sends off one more arm up your neck and into your head. You are a galaxy. Your heart is the center. It is the movement of spirit within you that rotates the central spiral and sends those arms of musical light to the far reaches of your body. Each cell is infused with this God light energy. Every cell is activated. Every cell wakes up and joins in the dance of love, light, healing. For a dance is what this is. The essence of God energy moves and circulates in and around you. Each cell activates the next. The cells dance with each other in the light of God, and they know every step of the dance. Your very essence is dancing with the one source, the light of light, the one and holy God energy. There is nothing in you but light and love. You laugh in the pure joy of dancing with spirit, never missing a step, of being in complete harmony with your source. As you dance with your God in the silence. as you take a breath now and begin to return to your physical body, please take in this final blessing. Oh, my beloved, God is moving by the Spirit, moving in all the earth, moving in each of you. Love, light, and harmony. The movement of Spirit within you is perpetual. And though you may return to worldly concerns, you are never alone, and you shall always be lifted to new heights by love and light. Remember this always.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. raise me up to more than I can be.
So there is the voice and the heart of Father, right there. Thank you for that. You know, I forgot to do this in the first service, but before I say any more, I want to thank Ira and his team for making sure that the pictures that you're going to see today are actually up on this screen, because I am not known for being an early bird with putting my talks together, and often things come to me at the last minute. And I shipped this whole thing off to Ira less than a week ago, and they made it happen. So thank you very much. And I'm sorry, tell me the name of Sasha. Thank you so very much, because you would not get to see these extraordinary photos by Gail Filter, who you will meet in a minute, if it wasn't for that team. So thank you very much. I love people who know how to do technology. So I just want to say this morning, I feel a deep respect, a twinge of grief, and honor at standing on this platform this morning to celebrate and to talk about fathers. The truth is, I don't have any firsthand knowledge at being a father. So what I want to do is I want to show you some images and tell you some stories about some fathers. Not because they meet some special criteria of good father, but because they are real and because they are fathers among us. The images you are going to see are all fathers who are from this area, who have, in all likelihood, gone unnoticed and unsung. And I want to start this morning with Jamie. These are Jamie's hands. Jamie called the number for Joshua's House, a hospice for the homeless that we are creating here in Sacramento, a few weeks ago, because he is living on the street and dying of liver and pancreatic cancer. And he asked if it was possible to get into Joshua's House, and Marlene Fitzwater, who is the founder of Joshua's House, had to tell him that we are not up and running yet, but that we would do whatever we could to help support him. And so several of us have been helping him, and he's been living primarily in Motel 6s in different parts of the city. And until about 2 days ago, when his county social worker has now found him an apartment and a place to live until his death. And Jamie is a father. This is him. And these are the icons that sit on his altar in his motel room. And he, a few weeks ago, decided that he wanted to go see his daughter, who lives in Chico. She had had a baby in January, and he wanted to meet the granddaughter and to repair his relationship with his daughter, whom he was estranged from for 15 years. So we made arrangements and helped him using Lyft get up to Chico. And he spent the night and then made plans to meet his daughter for lunch. So he went to the restaurant, and a few minutes before she was to arrive, he received a text from her saying, "I just can't. I just can't come. I wish I could, but I can't." he's heartbroken. And in the same breath, he also said, and it's okay, because I know that things were difficult, and I know she can't. I wanted to make amends, but I'm not able to. This is the heart and the face of a father. So I want to introduce you to someone, because the gentleman that has taken all of the photos that you will see is here today. And he is involved in Mercy Peddlers and is helping us with Joshua's house. He's an amazing man who does amazing photography. He is a former prosecutor, and it may be the first time that this congregation has ever had this kind of minister on their platform. He is a minister of justice, and so I want to introduce to you Gail Filter. Gail, will you want to come up? And he's going to show you, he's going to show you some of his photos.
I have to tell you two things. This is the second time I've done a closing argument today. And I've never had to do that before. The second thing is I've never been backed in a closing argument by a choir. So I moved to Sacramento in 1999, and for the California District Attorneys Association, I had spent 11 years in Imperial County doing some of the most horrific cases that you could possibly imagine. Prison cases, gang cases, murder cases, you name it, I did it. But I began to develop a particular, it became part of my soul to do environmental crime. And that's what I did most of my career, white-collar environmental crime. So when I moved up here in 1999, I was handed the work from the CDAA to work on AB Assembly Bill 1127, which is now known as the California Worker Safety Law. And what that basically did was say that if you violate a worker safety law and it results in death or GBI, great bodily injury, then that's a felony. The only reason I'm telling you this is because the assembly member that I worked with on the bill was a guy by the name of Darrell Steinberg, who's now the mayor of the city of Sacramento. What a small world, right? And if you ask him today, he'll tell you he's pretty proud of that bill. So, well, 6 years after that, I obviously began to know a great deal about worker safety law. And the district attorney from Merced County asked me to come down and be a special prosecutor for his office. And I started thinking about this case the last 3 or 4 days. And the more it went on, the more this case began to nag me, and it began to bother me. And the reason is because I keep on reading every day where fathers are separated from their children in these camps. And I just sit there and I go, how can that be? So when I was a prosecutor, I was trained to realize that the real mission was justice, that nobody was above the law, nor was anyone beneath its protection. So when I did this case, 2005, 2006, in Merced County, it was the story of two young men who had died at the bottom of a manure pit through asphyxiation because it was producing methane gas, which was displacing the oxygen, so they died of asphyxiation. And this case had a tremendous impact on me. And the reason is because the owner of this dairy farm was a volunteer fireman in Gustine, and he had been trained in worker safety and what equipment had to be provided to workers who went into a confined space. So I only share a bit of the closing because the closing to this really sort of sets up and becomes the basis of my photography. And my photography is basically of homeless people, but what I really look at is pretty much three things. And those things are, am I doing justice to the person that I'm shooting, in this case, a homeless person? 2, is what I'm doing evidence that there's some kind of social injustice that exists out there that would be compelling to the people who look at my photography? And the third thing that I really enjoy doing is being able to take my photographs and then later distributing them to the homeless people that I took the pictures of, because they clearly begin to see a side of themselves that they hadn't seen before. So that's my photography. So what's the 2 things that I've learned from the street in doing this photography? It's pretty simple. The first thing is that if you really walk the streets of Sacramento, and if you really make eye contact with the homeless people that you will surely meet, you will see in their eyes that those eyes are the homes of silent prayers. And just by a kind word, you can change that. You can answer that prayer, because nobody talks to them. Nobody says anything. In fact, they're basically an ignored class of people. So I asked my good friend back here to, this is your part, don't forget, okay. All right. This could take longer than I thought. At any rate. Yeah. So this was my closing 10, 11 years ago. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to speak for a person who cannot speak for themselves. And over my right shoulder, you will see the wedding photo of Jose Alatorre, who died at 28, had been married for 1.5 years, and had a son, Jose Jr. And you heard the pathologist say that when he died at the bottom of that manure pit, he probably lived and realized that he was going to die, and probably had about 3 or 4 minutes where he was thinking of things because his life was closing in on him. And I keep on thinking of the photo that's behind me, of him on his wedding day, the joy, the happiness that was in his face, knowing that he had this future with his wife, Marion, and little Jose. And you've heard Marion say that Jose worked hard on that farm, and that he couldn't wait to get home to be with Jose Jr. So we have lost not only a worker, but a son has lost a father. And how that will impact him the rest of his life, we don't know. So what I've just told you, thank you, you've done a tremendous job. So that's where I'm coming from in my photography. So I want to show you some pictures of what I've been doing the last 2.5 years. Julie will tell you, she's been out with me one morning where I like to walk the streets and meet the homeless people that live in our community. So,
Just hold it up a little higher.
oh, there it is. So these are the facts about the homeless people that live in Sacramento County, and they're pretty mind-boggling, because there's probably a 50% chance if you come across a homeless person on the street, a homeless dad, you may never know that he's a homeless dad, but one thing's sure is that there's a 50% likelihood that he suffers some kind of mental impairment. And he may have incurred that mental impairment after he became homeless. And one of the things that I want to say to you now, and you might think about this, is there was an article in the paper the other day where it now requires in the city of Sacramento an income of $27 an hour to pay basic rent. So what's happening is we're beginning to see more people my age end up homeless, and younger people ending up homeless. So the homeless population is not going down, it's going up. And it's putting has a huge impact on people living in Sacramento in more ways than you can possibly imagine. So this is a photo I took at 8th and K Street. I call these people street ghosts, and you see quite a few of them, actually. And when I took this photo, it's called a decisive moment. I was sitting on a corner, I saw this guy coming down the street, and I knew he was going to walk exactly where I wanted him to walk. And I sat there patiently, and I got him in front of the blue moon, or the blue lady, or whatever you wish to call it. And it's clear that he is a ghost. But the thing that was going through my mind at the time, the way things are going, our fathers could end up being one of these people if they live on a stable income and nobody's willing to take care of what needs to be taken care of. I first became involved in doing this kind of work on Father's Day 2016. And I'm out at Loaves and Fishes, and the idea was to take photos of fathers so they could be given their photos and send them home to their children, to their loved ones, to friends, just to let them know that they're there. And more importantly, for me, was to give them their photos and let them see themselves as I see them. And you can see that there's a lot in those faces. Those eyes are the homes of silent prayers. This was taken on Father's Day 2017. And I would imagine that none of us think of these folks in the way they're presented to you today. That we see them living off the street, dirty, and not having much to say. But these two fathers wanted to make sure that they had their pictures taken, they were taken right, and they could be sent home to their loved ones. The guy on the left I met a year and a half ago. His name's Robert. He's a Vietnam vet, and he lost his leg, which you don't see in this photo, in Vietnam. It's beyond me how someone who's a Vietnam vet, a father, could be homeless in the United States of America. I don't understand that. The man next to him is John, and John's been homeless for about 10, 15 years. He's probably in his late 60s, and it's not uncommon to see John in downtown Sacramento pushing his cart, looking for a place of safety. So this is Father's Day 2018, and what happened is that this year we decided that we were going to do a makeover for fathers who wanted to get a haircut, look presentable to their children, which was a huge concern to them. And if you look at that photo on the right, that's the hairdresser and JP looking in the mirror at himself. But is he really looking at himself, or is he looking at the hairdresser who says, in so many words, "You look really good today"? And I could tell, just looking in that mirror, that he was seeing himself differently than what he had seen himself looking like previously. If you don't believe me, let's just go back a bit. And that's JP 2016. This is JP 2018. Whoa, big difference. This is Tim. And here, notice, I think, Tim's getting a shave. And Tim is a guy who's pretty concerned about his appearance. And the barber in this case also is concerned about him doing the job right. And actually, Tim liked the job because I overheard him say, "You did a good job, man." And this is what Tim looked like last year. He's the guy in the San Francisco baseball cap. So he's sending out pictures regularly. JP, by the way, he's a father of 5. He's from the Bay Area. His oldest daughter is a financial planner, and he hasn't talked to her in probably 5 or 6 years. He's been living on the street. This is John, sort of the evolution of a haircut. John shows up, he needs a haircut, there's no doubt about that. But notice the transformation in his face. In the middle photo, we begin to see that somebody really cares. They're actually touching him, God forbid, right? And they're saying things to him, how do you like it? How do you want it? And he's responding, and all of a sudden at the end, he gets a look at himself. And he's going, I like it. I really like it. These are photos that I've taken over the years of fathers at Loaves and Fishes. The family photo was taken Christmas 2016. And I don't think most of us think of fathers and families together that are homeless. And this family shows up at Loaves and Fishes to have Christmas dinner, and the father is in a wheelchair. And the most pleasant family I've talked to in a long time. They were really concerned about taking care of their dad. The photo in the middle is a photo of Nico and Marcus. I saw them one day close to Thanksgiving at Mustard Seed, which is a school for homeless children at Loaves and Fishes, and Marcus was picking up Nico. And I'm looking at this photo and I'm going, wow, what a statement about a father and his son. I mean, you look at that and you just go, whoa, that is a pretty powerful image of the connection that exists between a dad and his son. And Nico was a little concerned about me taking his photo, but Marco said it was okay, so Nico went with it. And the other, I forget the man's name in this last photo, but this was over Christmas 2017. He's from, I'm pretty sure he's from Kenya or Ethiopia. You see him with his 2 children, but standing to the side was his wife and his other 5 children. And they live in a car, a family of mother, father, and 7 children in a car. That's hard to believe, I know, but that's what happened. So I want to thank you for having me today. I've had a great time. Never been backed by a choir before. I won't forget that.
So I want to share with you the stories of a few other fathers that live in this community. And this gentleman here may be familiar to you. This is Rick Jennings. He is a city councilman. And Rick is the father of 2 children that he describes as successful. And when I asked him what he thought were the most important things to convey to his children, he said the first one is love, the second one is being present, and the third is Christian values because they stand the test of time. He actually describes himself as coming from a broken home, and he told a story about how at 8 years old he was laying in his bed in tears because of some of the things that were going on in his family. And at 8 years old, he decided that he would never leave his children, that he would be present to his children, even if it meant he had to sacrifice himself. And I believe that was the beginning of a seed that got planted in him that brought him full circle, because today he is the founder and the head of an organization called the Center for Fathers and Families here in Sacramento. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they have programs for fathers helping them learn helping them to learn the skills of being a father, whether that's financial or showing up for your children. In whatever way it is, they support fathers and families. He also said that the other thing that he thought was really important was that he always told his children, your mother was here first, and she will always come first. And it reminds me of a quote that I saw recently that said, the most important thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. This is Rick Jennings, the face of father. Gail's reminding me, the most important whoops, I just did something wrong. Did I? I just turned everything off. Oh, no, there. This is what I hate about technology, is I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm so sorry, really. You want me to stop? Okay, if I just stop and let them do what they're supposed to do. Take a deep breath, Julie. Okay. Whew. So As you're getting back to Rick Jennings, I will tell you that Gail just gave me the because I forgot the most important thing about Rick Jennings, which is he played in the Super Bowl against the Vikings. God forbid I would forget the most important thing about Rick Jennings. So, and he even had his ring on. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. This is Pete. Pete lives next to Ross and me. Pete was born in Trinidad. He came to the U.S. with his father many years ago, and he served in the Army for a bunch of years in the U.S. Army, and he has 3 children who he shares custody with his ex-wife. These are 2 of his children. And when I asked him what he thought was the most important thing to give his children as a father, he said the first thing is consistency. The second is a sense of responsibility. The third is always being there. One of the things that I was struck by with Pete is that he gave really simple examples of ways that he shows up for his children and being consistent and being present. And one of them was as simple as saying, gosh, when Joaquin forgets some of his stuff at his mom's house, we just drive back without getting mad or upset about it. And I thought, you know, what a lovely way to express love to his children. I have witnessed him sitting on his front porch just talking with his children. This is also the face of Father. When I asked Joaquin what he learned from his father, he stopped for a minute and he said, well, I don't know how to explain it. Everything. This is Pete and his family. This is the picture of a man that makes my heart throb. As some of you know, this is my husband, Ross. And I want to read something to you. I asked him to write about one of his sons. About a week after we brought Ari home, Ari is his son, one of his sons, I swaddled him in the blanket that would become his favorite. Ari later named it Regular. In our small backyard under a dark, star-filled sky, I carefully raised him as high as I could and took a line spoken by Kunta Kinte's father. This is the only thing bigger than you, I whispered to him. I was proud, happy, and very grateful. Ari lived with us for the better part of 20 years. We often struggled, but managed to provide him with a good, balanced family life. Such was our thinking at the time. Swimming lessons at age 1, Montessori from preschool to 4th grade, weekend vacations at the beach, a trip to Disneyland. When he was 13, I won a sales contest taking me and Ari to a 3-star hotel in Monte Carlo for 7 days, where he rode on the back of our rented Vespa across the French border and into the Italian coast town of San Remo. I let him drive through the lovely city where a nice Italian policewoman hauled us over for a chat about his age. We often struggled, but managed to provide him with a good, balanced family life. Such was our thinking at the time. We didn't know there could ever be 2 more beautiful grandsons than when Ari had children. Ari doesn't speak to us anymore. It's been over a year now. According to a series of texts he addressed to me, we are never to speak or have contact with him, his wife, or his children until such time as he decides. I was his parent. We lived under the same roof, in the same environment together for almost 20 years. I have culpability. What I don't have is knowledge of how he has reached the conclusions to exclude us from his life, his wife, and our grandchildren. He has no will to communicate, so no dialogue is possible. This too is the heart of Father. When I asked Ross what he thinks is the most important thing to give his children, he replied, respect, not just for self or for other people, but for all living beings. all living things. Second, non-judgment. Third, caring. Caring, because caring is how love is made real in the world. This is Jim McDonald and his wife, Denise. Jim is a good friend of ours. He is 67 years old and is experiencing end-stage Parkinson's disease. He's had it for 16 years. He used to play the guitar and was a vocalist. Jim was also an RN who worked in home health care. And because of his experience in home health care, he always said there was one disease from which he did not want to die. And of course, it was Parkinson's. He helped raise Denise's 2 daughters from a previous marriage and a son from this marriage. And yet he is father to all of them. All of their children tear up easily when they talk about Jim and their love and respect for their father. Jessie, the middle child, said, I always remember Dad because he was so laid back and he only yelled at me once. Jim kind of shook his head and said, I think it was more than that. She also said, I will always remember our skiing, camping trips, and just hanging out. She said, he also tortured me with love songs that he played for my mother. And then she was like, oh God, it still makes my skin crawl. She's 35. Yeah. When I asked him what he believes are the most important things to give your children, he responded, respect, not just for family, but for all people. I would request that my kids realize how important that word is in this crazy world. 2, communicate simply and clearly. And if you see something that makes you smile, share it with joy. Read a lot, and money is a means to an end and should be given away to help others. When I asked him if he has any regrets, he replied, I regret I didn't know how to communicate very well. I would reinforce how important that is. And when I asked him, knowing that his time was short, was there anything he wanted to say to his children? He said, remember the ski trips and the camping. It was a way to pull the family together without really having to pull. This, too, is the face of Father. These are their grandchildren. And then there are those who are fathers without children. This is a picture that was taken in the California Medical Facility, a medium security prison in Vacaville, a few short miles from Sacramento. This is a hospice within that prison facility. I'd like to read to you a small quote from this article that showed up in the New York Times. Inked in tattoos from neck to knuckle, Kevin Lyman rose from his bunk at dawn, pulled scrubs over his skinny frame, stepped out of his cell, and set out for work. The 27-year-old strolled down the long central hallway connecting the different wings of the prison, past the dining hall, the solitary confinement unit for violent offenders, and the psych ward. Pushing open the big steel doors, he reported for his morning shift in the hospice. Murillo, who was another inmate caregiver, got down on one knee on the linoleum floor so that he was eye to eye with a patient. He put tan socks on Figaro's feet, which dangled off the side of the bed, and gave them a squeeze. We're here for you, anything you need. Now it's time to get some rest. I've got a big brain, Figaro exclaimed. Did you know I am a very important man? I'm the son of Hitler, and I work for the U.S. government on very important projects. Murillo placed a gloved hand on Figaro's shoulder and stood up to leave. Even people with big brains need to rest, he said. This is men being fathers in prison in a hospice. There isn't much really in this world that I'm certain of, but there's one thing I know for sure, and that is that fathers are people. They love and they lose. They create and they destroy. They have messy, organic, amazing lives and are human beings. So I'm going to ask you, if you would, to please stand with me. And I'm going to start with my flute, and then I'm going to ask you to join me in a blessing for all fathers everywhere. So I'm going to ask you just to breathe in and breathe out. So I ask you to join me, one line at a time, to all fathers. To all fathers. May you be filled with loving kindness.
May you be filled with loving kindness.
May you be well.
May you be well.
May you be peaceful and at ease.
May you be peaceful and at ease.
And may you be happy.
And may you be happy.
Aho.
Thank you, Julie. That was a unique and really blessed way to talk about Father's Day. Thank you so very much. As we prepare for our love offering, let us remember that behind every gift is the true source, and that no matter how we give in terms of treasure, talent, or time, our gifts sustain this spiritual community, as well as making it possible for us to help support the other groups throughout the Sacramento area. And by the way, we do tithe to Joshua House. So, thank you. So with this in mind, let us share our blessing with each other. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, you rock. And in fact, since this is the finale until the end of the summer, we'd like to give Paula Mandela, LaJean Walker, and the choir one of our special blessings.
So as you rub your hands together, creating that loving vibration, raise them to the choir, and choir, receive. Choir, we bless you. Choir, we love you. We bless you, and we appreciate you, and we behold God's love as you.
Next Sunday, Reverend James will be back, and he's going to offer a talk titled Add a Verse, How We Are Here to Be of Service to Spiritual Ideas. And each of us is a fragile miracle, evidence of divine creation and divine grace. We are each unique, unrepeatable gifts to the world. We are proof of divine love. And so we who are the gifts of this creation bless this offering, these gifts given in love. Thank you, God. Amen. And let us join in singing, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth.
let us join in